Might have to make that bet with you.
Oh, it was terrible. It's like the top 10 cities by population per state.
You could do that.
At one point.
500 cities.
Yeah, it was like, but think about like West Virginia.
Oh, we're live.
Oh, beautiful. Look at that. That's how we get things started here. Welcome to Live Before Lock PGA edition. We've got the Valero Open. We've got the Masters on deck. We are ready to go here. We're going to have a good old time. I am Ben Rasa. Look who is here. Look who has joined me. It's our good friend, Eric Lindquist. Hello, sir. Thanks for hopping on. We've done a little juggling here with the shows, but we're going to be just fine. Are you excited to talk more golf with me?
Yeah, I'm staying the course. I was going to say any show I get to do with you is good because you teach me things and I teach you things like cities in South Dakota before the show.
All the necessities.
I think it honestly, it works perfectly for both of us because we both hit our weak spots. So.
Yeah, no, it's a good blend. It's a yin and a yang chat. It's good to see everybody. We're going to dive into it. You guys know the drill. Before I do, though, I want to say, as I always do right off the top, our friends at Monkey Knife Fight are sponsoring the show once again tonight, and we certainly appreciate that. If you haven't been over there, it's absolutely something you need to do. They're easy player prop-based contests, not a huge time commitment, and the other DFS sites kind of give that to you. So it's something you should check out, and it's not just golf. They've got NBA, UFC, esports, soccer, and, of course, PGA, as we're talking about here. To get started, head over to monkeyknifefight.com. Choose what game you want to play, your contest type, your buy-in level, all the normal things that you would do on the traditional sites. And even better, when you sign up, use the promo code Awesemo. You get an instant first match deposit bonus of up to $50. Sign up today. So make sure to do that. Chat, it's good to see everyone. I know I keep saying that, but I really do mean it. Let's dive into it. We've got a lot to talk about here with Valero. I know it's before we get to waves, weathers, and withdrawals, I just want to ask you, do you treat like a week before a major differently?
I try to go lighter because I think the anticipation that leads up to it, I just try to keep everything in check and in balance. I think a lot of the top guys are kind of looking ahead towards it. We saw that with Dustin Johnson entering the tournament on Friday and then being like, you know what, peace out. I'm out. So we're going to see that more and more as we get closer to some of these other majors too. But I got to think that guys like Jordan Spieth and those guys are looking a little bit ahead. So we'll get to some of that. But for the most part, I just try to go a little bit lighter, try not to go too crazy. But I really do think that there is some value still to be drawn out of this.
Yeah, I'm in a similar boat. It's not to say that if Scotty Scheffler or Jordan Spieth start fast, that they're going to suddenly say, oh, I don't want to win this tournament. But if they start slow, if they're really struggling, or, maybe they're working on shots that they think is going to suit them more at Augusta, I do think there's elements of that. So it's something to consider. It's very hard to quantify. DJ just said, you know what, I'm not going to take the reps. I don't need them. There's a bunch of guys, though. There's a handful that are in Augusta. I don't think you can just simply omit them. That's too aggressive, in my opinion.
Yeah, agreed. But Tony Finau, Jordan Spieth, if they get going sideways, you got to think that it's kind of a mail it in situation. We've seen it a couple times in the past in previous years where guys will even withdraw if they make it on the cut line. So in certain situations, I've seen that a couple times, mainly for like US Opens or if it's something where they get it going sideways in round two, you'll see some guys just kind of like mail it in.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you asked any of them, would you rather grind and come in like 60th over 4 days or miss the cut on the number and get to Augusta a couple days earlier? I think they would all prefer that. Ricky will have focus. Unfortunately, he will probably only be playing 2 days for a different reason, but let's get into it. So right off the bat, we do have a potential issue. It looks like there could be a weather edge, particularly PM to AM. It looks like it could be windy tomorrow morning. What do you make of wind stacks? I know this is something we haven't talked about much, and I'm excited to get your thoughts just generally on how do you approach that as a golfer. I mean, you've dealt with wind, certainly, I'm sure, in tournaments. So how big a deal is something like that?
I saw something on Zyre Golf, which is like an Instagram account earlier today that I follow. They do a lot of like Barstool Sports type stuff, but they were saying that ask a golfer the weather because they're going to know 3 Saturdays from now what time it is, like what the wind will be doing, because we just pay so much attention to it. It matters a lot, just in terms of like what gear you're preparing with or what kind of conditions you're going to be in. But from a DFS angle, looking at this right off the bat, I think a couple guys had alluded to it this week. I think you were one of them, where it does look like there's a distinct advantage. We're seeing some early wind right away in the morning on that Thursday, and it's pretty pronounced. It's more quantifiable. Wind is pretty predictive from what I understand. It's a little bit more predictive even than temperature or rain, precipitation, but wind, we're seeing a little bit of a draw that's going to favor, I think, the Thursday AM and Friday PM draw. So I think getting like 3 or 4 pieces of that draw together and just kind of hoping for the other side of it, getting the Thursday PM, Friday AM, where they're going to kind of be able to play in that nice window. And plus the worst of it is that Thursday morning. I think it's pretty benign or pretty consistent throughout the rest of it. So it's really just kind of like hoping that some of your guys, if you're going to play them in that morning tee time group, kind of come through unscathed on Thursday morning.
Yeah, so I do tend to weigh weather Thursday AM more because, as I've said before, that's not that far away. We're talking about 12 hours from now. If you're telling me that there's going to be a problem Friday PM, that's a long time. And once golf locks, it locks. And if the wind changes, you can't adjust. So I do think there is something to that. I'm not going to go crazy. I mean, there are guys in the AM, and we're going to get to these guys. Jordan Spieth is in the AM. Abraham Answer is in the AM. I like these guys. I'm not going to not play them because of that. Will I have some PM stacks? Absolutely. And I think that's kind of how you have to approach it. On the withdraw side, DJ not here. I haven't seen anything else. Anything other than that we really need to talk about?
I don't think so. I think we can kind of dig into it.
Yeah. I think that's it. Other than that, yeah, I mean, tee time stacks, things of that nature. I assume that you're on board with that if you do want to play the weather angle.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not that extreme, I don't think. I think it might be a little bit overdrawn most of the time. We see the British Open or the Open Championship, as one might say. We see that being the one that you want to factor it in the most anytime you go over to the Euro PGA. I do it a lot when they're playing some of those random events next to lakes in, I don't know, middle of nowhere that they're kind of like setting up where it's going to be 25-mile-an-hour winds. But I don't think it's going to be that extreme here. But there's definitely a little bit of a bump, I think, where I might change my projections slightly to favor some of the guys in that Thursday afternoon wave.
I'm right with you. Let's go to the top end of the board now. No surprise that Jordan Spieth, the way he's playing, he's a Texan. He's going to garner some interest here. And he's one of, if not the most highly owned guys that we're anticipating. Scotty Scheffler's in the same boat. Texan looked good in the match play. I will say he looked a little tired. I don't want to read too much into that. He seemed worn down though. And he's someone, of course, will be at Augusta. Then you have Tony Finau, most expensive on the board, and Decky is the other 10K option. How do you kind of conceptually rank the 4 guys? I think 3 will be highly owned and Decky will be moderately owned, if I had to guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, Decky just keeps burning me constantly. So, I mean, what do you even like start to do to talk yourself out of this Hideki fatigue? I can't find any nice words to say about him at the moment because all I do is lose money with him, as do a lot of my friends who I tell to keep betting on Hideki. But I got to fire him up a little bit again this week. It's been a hot second, and I'm willing to go back to the torture chamber. The miscut at the Players was unfun. I was actually lower on him in that event, going through some of my older model stuff. I was lower on him at the Players, but like the Arnold Palmer and Workday, things were kind of trending up for him, 18th and 15th. I don't know. I think that this golf course in general, and let me know if you think differently, I'm really just kind of like targeting straight out ball strikers with bad putting. I don't know what it is about that kind of blend that they're ranking so high for me. I mean, guys like Answer, who we know can get it going any moment. Bradley, Laird. I have so many of these guys that I just kind of like constantly keep plugging in, and Hideki fits that mold. Jordan Spieth, obviously, I think he's going to be garnering the ownership, and I think it's appropriate. I'm just not a big Jordan Spieth guy. I don't really necessarily believe that some of the stuff he does is sustainable over a long period of time, he'll find it. He'll find his short spurts. So I know that I'm coming in and I'm slandering good Jason Roslin's
boy. What a new
boy.
show this is.
I know. Yeah, I was going to say, I got to bring my own takes, and I'm not a big Jordan Spieth guy. I never have been. I hope. I like him as a person. I think he's a great dude. I think everything he's done for his sister and everything he's kind of done long-term, he's a little bit of a whiner, but other than that, you can't really peg him as anything other than a pretty decent golfer. But I don't know, a top caliber player. I just don't think he's that.
So let's dig into it a little here. Decky, yes, I mean, he's on a large drought. We've seen, I mean, it's been literally many years now since he has won. It's pretty crazy. He hasn't won since Bridgestone in 2017. And that is, for a guy of this caliber, that's far too long. I will say in the short term, the irons have trended back upward. He's gained over 2 strokes on the approach in 3 straight events. That includes the miscut at the Players. That is positive because Decky traditionally, pure ball striker, not a good putter. And listen, if you're going to tell me that Corey Connors in 2019 won here, that's the profile. I mean, that is Corey Connors. Yeah. Decky fits that. Now, Spieth is playing much better. For me, I don't mind starting with Decky. I don't mind starting with Spieth. The one guy who's getting squeezed, and I want to ask you particularly about him, is Scotty Scheffler, who I just worry a little bit that he, as a young guy, is kind of looking with one eye towards Augusta. Again, the stats look great, tee to green, and he played well at the match play. I just don't know how much is in the tank right now.
Well, yeah, he did get done having a pretty long match play. Yeah, as you alluded to, he did look tired and fatigued. He's just been such an elite player from the time he was a junior. Absolutely dominated the Web.com tour. I really think somebody who can win like that can win on any given week. He's appropriately priced. I think he's going maybe a tiny bit over-owned when you have guys like Answer that are going a little bit cheaper, going a little less owned. Same with Hideki, same with Ryan Palmer, all guys that I think profile well for this kind of a golf course. I don't know. I think I'm probably going to be lower on him this week, but I generally do like his form for a golf course like this. So maybe I should reconsider that.
Yeah. I mean, listen, it's a product of course, in theory, I'd love to get over on everybody, but if you're getting over on Spieth and you're getting over on Finau and you want to get over on Decky and well, that doesn't make sense. That's not really possible. Not to mention where we're going right now, which is to our next column in leveraged value. How do you feel about starting with Answer and just forgetting these 4 guys?
Absolutely love it. I think Abraham Answer, when we were talking about the match play last week, he was awesome. And then he wasn't for like the back nine third round. And it sucked because I had like 80% of him. I was focused a lot on the other event at the Corrales and wanted to make sure that I put in quite a bit of, I took some very, very strong stances compared to what I normally would. And I kind of went very, very heavy on Answer, went heavy on a couple of these other guys that were going a little bit, I thought, underrepresented. A Texas guy in general, I like him. Like, I really, really like him this week. I liked him at the match play, and it was just disappointing to get that 9 holes where he just kind of fell off the map in that third match. But I'm going to go right back there this week. 9,700, you're getting a discount, and you're getting about the same ownership. Like, sign me up for that in his backyard.
Yeah, as you mentioned, in his backyard, sub 10K, so you're going to have that balance build. He's gained strokes on the approach in 6 straight events. Really, it's just been the putter. He's lost in 5 straight. We've talked about how A, that can flip randomly, and B, it's mitigated here. It really is. It doesn't mean you're not going to need to make a couple putts, but it really doesn't highlight people who struggle, and that's, I mean, all the people that I play always struggle with that. So I'm definitely looking to Answer. I want to talk about the rest of this range, though, because the 9s are very loaded. You've got Corey Connors, who I guess technically is still the defending champ. You've got Palmer. You've got Tringali, Charlie Hoffman, who's made the cut here, not basically, literally for like 15 straight years. Steele and Kucher. Do you have a priority list here? Do you mind mixing and matching? How do you attack a 9K range like this?
So I'm happy because I have a new set of eyes, and I know Jason just loves Jordan Spieth, so I knew I was going to be slandering one of his guys. But I think one of the guys that you guys are probably on, having not seen anything yet, is Charlie Hoffman, and I am right on board with you. Like, Charlie Hoffman plays this golf course well, doesn't miss cuts, just completely striping it at the moment from what it looks like. Just and decent enough with the putter that I think that he's just kind of trending in a direction that I really like. 77 kind of skews. I really like targeting guys who have terrible final rounds, and it kind of like undercuts their performance that they had through 3 rounds. That's probably one of my favorite strategies that I try to target in general. Coming off of miscuts also, if you have one bad round, like a blip, like Tony Finau had at Sawgrass, something like that, that's probably my favorite DFS strategy. If you don't see that quad or triple or whatever he made on 18 at Corrales, it masks a really good week, a top 20, given it was a weaker field in Corrales than what we even have here, but still going forward, like Charlie Hoffman's playing a lot better than what the box score looks like it would be in basketball. It's almost like there's blowout run in the NBA. That's kind of the way that I look at it. When somebody shoots 77 in a final round where it's windy and crappy and just didn't have his stuff for one day.
So it's interesting. That's interesting philosophy, because I actually am the opposite. I like to target a guy who maybe was nowhere and posted on Sunday, a 65, and it moves him up to 30th. No one thinks anything of it. I do like what you're talking about with Charlie Hoffman, though. He had a snowman on 18, and it's not like on Sunday, he was just bogeying after bogey. He had one blow up hole, and it really masked what is clear momentum going into a course that he absolutely loves. So the ownership is going to be there, no doubt. I don't mind it, though. The one other guy I want to ask you about is, what do you make of Matt Kucher, who was not on anyone's radar at all? He goes to the match play, everyone thinks, okay, it's going to be JT most likely in that group, and Matt Kucher just dismantled Kisner and JT. Is that something, or is that nothing?
That was the guy who made me profitable last week, was Matt Kucher. He was my pick out of the group. So you obviously didn't watch me on the Tuesday show. Let it be known.
I wish we switched these shows around. I could have used these takes last week. I had no Kucher at all.
Bouncing around. He had great course history in general. He plays that event. He plays match play so well in general. He never concedes putts. He's just kind of a cutthroat dude when it comes to competing. We know that he's a scrimp and saver, if you will, from the Mexico situation. Just a guy he's a cutthroat dude, and Matt Kucher is a grinder, and I think profiles really, really well for this golf course. A lot of third shot par fives that you're going to be playing. This is kind of like his type of golf course. It's long enough. He's hitting his driver really well. I think maybe some of the data that you're looking at for match play doesn't necessarily show it, but he looked comfortable with the driver, and we know that he can just get hot at any given moment and just start rolling the rocks. So I do like avoiding the 10K range in general in a lot of builds, going Answer, going Matt Kucher, and going kind of a more balanced approach. I think that you're not losing that much going to them in this kind of a field, as opposed to like generally there's no Bryson, there's no Rory, there's no person that can just make a ton of birdies that you're playing catch up to.
Yeah, the win equity, is certainly flattened up top compared to a star-studded field where you're dodging 5 or 10 of the world's best. So I get that. And just giving, because I'm a nice guy, chat, just giving you a little sneak behind at our ownership projections. We have Kucher sub 5%. So if you do want to go there, that's going to be clear leverage. The opportunity cost, yeah, it's pretty good, but you're getting a lot of leverage. You're going to dodge a ton of ownership. If you think he beats someone like Charlie Hoffman straight up, you're getting like 1/15 of the ownership or something obscene.
Right. But what I really like about playing him is that you don't have to get that much to get leverage. Like, you don't have to go nuts. You can go 15%, you're 3x. You're overexposed probably in a situation like that. And you can't tell me that Matt Kucher wins this event. You'd be shocked.
No, listen, he found something. It's going to be an interesting bridge week. We're going to have plenty of Masters talk, don't worry. But I will say, with Masters pricing locked, if Matt Kucher plays well again this week, he is going to be mega chalk next week. And that's going to set up a very interesting dynamic. Kind of want to see how that plays out. But a couple more guys before we get to make the cut, where you see the show's going nicely. Then we get to make the cut. It goes off the rails. That's what chat lives for. But I want to talk about these upper 8K guys, because again, in a field like this, we have to consider them. You've got guys like Cam Davis and Keegan, who are more driver heavy, going to gain strokes off the tee. And then you've got guys like Zach Johnson, who, with the par fives being the way they are, it sets up for him. He's attacking them in a 3-shot hole, no matter what, getting wedges in his hands. How do you see that playing out? Are these guys that you're interested in?
So Zach Johnson, I have a lot of familiarity with. He's from the Des Moines area, went to Drake, came up and practiced at Iowa State all the time, never talked to us, just went onto the corner of the range because we had an awesome range and just kind of did his thing and grinded. There's a guy, Mike McCoy, who is a phenomenal amateur player, played in the Masters. His son was on our team and they would go play. But other than that, those are random things. Yeah, Mike McCoy won the U.S. Mid-Am, I believe, at 50 years old. So he's a stick. Absolute stick out of Iowa. Probably the best amateur we've ever had out of there. But best professional, definitely Zach Johnson, a guy that we saw the profile that got him to get the W at the Masters. 3-shot par fives. Didn't go for a single one the entire week. I think that that's pretty historically known. That's kind of what this golf course is in a lot of ways. Like you're looking at 18, you look at a couple of these other par fives, and I don't think Zach Johnson's going to go out and blow it out there by any means, nor would we expect him to, but obviously wedges the ball well. We saw the profile that also got him in an Open Championship at St. Andrews, kind of did the exact same thing. So I love him on golf courses where wedges are exponentially more important, and I think this is one of them. So I like making him kind of a priority on this. And we also see the fact that, like, in terms of cut equity, jackpot. Like, the guy makes cuts. He's pretty consistent. I find it hard for him to really burn me this week by being overweight. And I say that knowing full well that the next guy is Keegan Bradley that I'm on. And that makes me just nauseous because 8,400, we know that if he gets putting that you're in a great situation, but on a golf course where big numbers could pop up quickly, I get really freaked out by how much I like Keegan Bradley this week. What do you think about him?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's Keegan. The term full Keegan is a real thing. You can take him for first round leader and then you can sweat the cut line all in 2 days. Now, looking at his stats, he's making cuts. He's made 5 straight cuts. He's gained in 7 straight events, tee to green. All 7 of those, he was positive with the irons. I mean, that is what you want to see. There's no doubt about it. We've talked about putting probably being mitigated to an extent. All of these are pluses for Keegan. I get it. There's risk. There's always risk, even with guys that aren't like Keegan. So I'm going to have interest there. I think that the harder ones for me, because Zach Johnson makes a lot of sense. I think he's going to be very cash viable, probably a higher floor, even though that's not a term we really use with golf. Mm-hmm. Cam Davis is the tougher one for me because this is a guy that, he struggled, got on tour. He's found some grooves. He was very impressive at Honda, but the form has been a little hit or miss. He missed the cut at API and the Players. I assume it sounds like you like Keegan over him if you could only take one.
Yeah, I probably do. Purely because I think Keegan just has the years on tour behind him here too. Like, this isn't some unknown for Keegan Bradley. I kind of know what I'm getting into with him. I don't really know what I'm getting into with Cameron Davis sometimes. I know he's an Australian. I know he plays generally pretty well in wind. So maybe I'm overthinking that a tiny bit, but I do kind of like going to the cheaper route with Keegan Bradley. You're looking right now, I don't want to give too many ownerships, but 8% over on Keegan. I like that a lot more than going 13% to Cameron Davis. It just seems like a better point of leverage for me.
Last guy before we get to the make the cut. It's a similar range, and I just kind of want to ask you philosophical about this. So Adam Hadwin, who is a talented player on tour, you look at what he's been doing, and he's been making cuts 6 of 7, 8th at Honda, but it is completely with the short game. He has lost with his irons in 6 of 7 tournaments. In his last, he gained 7.5 strokes putting. When you see something like that, even with a good putter, how do you kind of break that down? Because you've mentioned with Spieth, you don't think stuff like that is sustainable. How do you approach it on a week like this?
Same thing. I don't play him. I just don't think that it's long-term viable. Like, the way I look at golf, and I understand it from a competitive aspect, like, you always want to feel like you're going to make every putt you look at. You want to try to get yourself in that place. But over a long-term sample, I want ball strikers on 7,500-yard golf courses where it's going to be windy. I don't want to have somebody be making 15-footers for par, because over a long sample size, I think one's a little bit more repeatable than another. I think putting also, you can get hot on any given week, and that's where we really spike the upside. You very rarely see somebody outside of like the top 50 in putting for that week win a golf tournament. So I do understand it from that aspect. If you want to target him and take some darts on him, he's not that high owned. He's pretty low owned as it is. So sure. But yeah, it's hard to imagine that he's going to have the ball striking upside to get you a W, which is definitely something you see almost every single week now on tour, where totals like strokes gained tee to green, like, you've got to be sitting in that top 20, top 25. I don't think he can do it.
There you go. I mean, yeah, obviously when you can putt like that, there's always upside. You can always be electric. It's just tough. It's very narrow, as I like to say. All right, let's get to our favorite chat. You know what time it is. We're going to make the cut. If you can hit the like button, though, let's pump it up before we get going and subscribe to the channel. There are so many shows. I know I say it every time, but it's true. We have a lot of people that watch the show, and we appreciate that, but we want you guys part of the community. And when you do that, you hit the notification bell. We absolutely appreciate it. You won't miss shows. We've got a show right after this, The Late Show. Greg Ehrenberg and Spags doing some things. We got Tyler behind the glass, all good things. And one more good thing for you, as Eric told me right before the show, baseball starting tomorrow, opening day, April 1st, and we've got a deal for you. You can get the first 9 days of Awesemo Plus MLB for just $9. So 9 days for $9. You can do the math. Use the promo code STARTING9. So starting and the number 9. It's going to give you access to everything we have for MLB DFS, player projections, ownership projections, top stacks, lineup builder, and of course the premium Slack channel, which is just worth its weight in gold. I say it every time. Offers valid through April 9th, but you absolutely should do it before the first pitch tomorrow. Get on in there. Great team with baseball. Can't recommend it more. If I play some baseball, it's going to be because I'm listening to the crew. So we've got that going on, but let's get to make the cut here. All right. First guy is going to be a random guy because we got a super chat on him. So I'm going to pull you in the depths, then we'll go back to the top. Baby. Appreciate it, Christian Smith. Thoughts on Scott Harrington?
Oh, no. That's literally the first one right off the bat.
Right off the bat, a curveball.
Okay.
See a little baseball lingo in there?
Yeah, well done. You know what a curveball is. That's fantastic. So excited about it.
5 straight cuts, but he has no better than T26. So for me, I think that's a little thin. If you need someone at 6,300, I guess, but I'm not looking to go there.
It's a pumpkin. It's not Cinderella's carriage. It's a pumpkin.
All right. Now back to the top. First guy up, Lanto Griffin.
Makes the cut.
Makes the cut.
Mm-hmm.
Just looking at where he's at, you've got ZJ, Cam Davis area. You have a priority list of that? Because I think deciding in that little range could determine a lot this week.
You said Siwoo as well. You put him into that envelope.
Siwoo, sure. Add him in as well.
I don't know. I think Siwoo's getting a lot of talk because of basically 2 tournaments, the Amex and the Players. And sandwiched in between it is a lot of inconsistency. He just kind of is one of those guys where when he does make cuts, he's usually in contention and then takes advantage, it seems like lately. I don't know. I feel like I want to be lighter on him. Cameron Davis, we touched on a little bit. Lanto, I'm having a tough time getting to. He's been gaining strokes approach, which makes me happy on a golf course like this. That's very difficult to be hitting the greens to be going towards. So I do like leaning on a little bit of his ball striking of late. Obviously around the green, he hasn't been good, but he's been putting the lights out of it too. Just looking at this over the course of the year, 0.52 strokes gained putting. I'm happy to side on the positive with him. So I'll take him out of all 3 in that range.
Okay. Working down lower 8s. Champion, winner on tour from last week, Joel Dahman. Where is he at this week?
Miscut. I think he's still drunk, isn't he?
Yeah, he looks pretty happy.
I was gonna say it is so hard. It is so hard to win on tour. It is incredibly hard to win a golf tournament here in Southern California and an amateur event in like the Yorba Linda Championship. So like, you want to talk about winning a PGA Tour event in the Dominican? Awesome, enjoy it. But brave guy to be taking it on and to be playing again here this week. I'm going to be light on him.
Yeah, I'm going to be light on him as well. We talk about what happens with the win, and my rule generally, it's not hard and fast, but it's pretty strict. If it's a breakthrough win, that's a red flag. Like, a guy JT wins, JT can win like 4 in a row. But Joel Dahman, that's a career definer so far. It's hard to quick turnaround and keep that going. He does have the Mortal Kombat correlation that's coming out soon.
Wait, what is that?
Well, he wears the hat like Raiden.
Oh, so, that is hang on. Is that like a noted thing? Have you brought that up before? Is that something you've alluded to?
It's noted in my carnival world. I don't think society thinks
awesome.
That.
By the way, also that Mortal Kombat movie is going to be awesome. I've already gotten to read the script. It looks so good.
I don't know much about what's going on, but it seems insane. They advertise it during the NCAA basketball. We got a lot
Yeah, so Raiden, I'm in on
Yeah.
the Raiden narrative. Also in the positive column too. He's like number 60 or 65 in the world or something. He's a pretty high pedigree player to be getting at that range. So if you want to like find a reason to be overweight to him, there it is. He's just kind of like better than what that price suggests.
The man right below him is one of the more fascinating guys in the field. Certainly, I guess, narrative street, if this was a movie, Ricky would win this week and then win next week. In reality, does Ricky even make the cut?
No, I'm just, it's the way I felt about Spieth for years until I guess I should have felt differently for the last 3 months. But it's very unsustainable to hit and spray it all over the map. And that's what Jordan Spieth does. That's what Ricky Fowler has done here a little bit. Actually, no, Ricky Fowler this year has been putting for whatever reason. I don't know why, but
which is shocking.
It's weird, right? And it's not kind of the way that you think about Ricky Fowler, because you think of him as the guy who rolls the rock and kind of hides a lot of his swing faults. But at this point in time, he's a bad putter, and that's just, he's never going to go anywhere with that.
Well said. I'm a huge Ricky fan, but he masks what I think is pretty average ball striking with an elite short game. Now he's exposed because he's lost strokes putting in 7 of 8 events. So,
that's how many it's been.
Yeah, it's been horrible. The only time he putted was at Genesis, and shocking, he came in 20th. Everything else has been absolutely terrible. All right, working down. 2 guys here. We got Aaron Wise and Sam Burns, both $8,000.
God, this is a tough one. I'm going to eat the Aaron Wise chalk. I think Aaron Wise coming off of playing well, if I'm going to continue this narrative where he played bad on the weekend, 64-64 the first 2 rounds at the Honda, that is balling out. That is some high upside golf. Obviously, would it be shocking if he missed the cut? No, but I think he's been playing well enough of late. Just even that last tournament, I think he gained some momentum. Somebody who I love his pedigree out of college. Again, I talk about these guys. I think that being able to win at the collegiate level now is a big telltale sign of somebody who's going to make it on tour. I think it's going to happen with Theegala eventually. Sahith Theegala, once that comes down the pipeline. I think who's the guy from Texas that was just popping here that is in the field this week as well. John from Illinois. What's his name? I can't even remember his name.
You're asking the wrong person.
Okay.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
No, okay. I'll figure it out. Oh, Doug Gim. There we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know Doug Gim. I thought you were talking about like Cole Hammer or someone from the clouds. Like,
he's still in college, I believe. So there's that. He's a baller, but same thing I feel about Doug Gim, where you win at that level and you show that kind of elite upside. I think you're going to make it on tour eventually. So I'm going to ride it with Aaron Wise going forward, NCAA champion at Oregon, given it was in his backyard when he won that NCAA title. But I like going there. And then you said Harold Varner or Ryan Moore.
So I'm going to loop all. So this is a good range. Let's target this. So we've got Sam Burns coming off really disappointing Florida swing after everyone thought he might break through. You've got Ryan Moore, who loves this course. And you have HV3, who I think quietly has put together some form here. How do you rank those 3? Do you think they can make the weekend or will make the weekend?
I mean, I like all 3. I think this range is somewhere that I've been at quite a bit through my early builds. I like Burns, Wise, Varner, Moore. I think I've been kind of going to this direction more, mainly because I don't really like a ton underneath 7K this week. I don't really think there's a lot of guys outside of like the random shots on Will Gordon that are required by law. I think that I'm going to have to go that direction a little bit, maybe a tiny bit of Brandon Haggy, because I'm also a sicko and you shouldn't do it, but I'm going to. I like this upper 7K range as a spot to kind of like make my hay.
I'm with you. So Sam Burns, listen, it's a bounce back spot. Again, he's still got Bermuda. He's got to be better, of course, but he just kind of lost it there. Ryan Moore is Zach Johnson. He returned from injury. He's starting to find it. He's one of the few guys, when I think about 3-shot par 5s, he comes to mind. This is how he gets it done here. He's done it time and time again. Wise is tough. I'm definitely interested. It's just the putter flipped, and that's what he got. He finally gained at Honda, and we saw the results. He had really he lost 10 strokes putting at Waste Management. That's hard to do. That's Benny On territory, and that's where I want to ask you next. So we've got 2 guys at 7,500. You've got Benny On and EVR. Any interest in either of them in the portfolio this week?
Probably interested in a little bit of both. Nothing crazy. I'm not going out of my way to be rostering either. I So making the cut, yes, I think both are very in play for that. Benny On is a guy that I think I was playing a lot earlier in the season. I got burned by him at the Players. I don't think he made the cut at the Honda either. No, so. Yeah, I'm going to probably say he can probably bounce back and get back to a little bit of form here. It's still been really, really good around the greens, but then been really, really bad with the putter. So that can kind of get back to normality real quick, especially on a golf course where it's not too hard to putt from what it looks like. Eric Van Rooyen, always somebody that I feel like I'm overweight on, but just kind of like consistent, I don't know. It kind of feels like a no man's land when I can get up to a guy like Ryan Moore, who's not garnering nearly as much ownership as I expected, and just kind of like be spending 400 more for it. And especially if I'm going to be spending some of that 10K range, I got to find other places to use my money and make it go to work.
PVR, I'm not even going to pretend like he's as random as the rest of the South Africans. It's very difficult. I like Benny though. I know I have some priced in bias probably, but this is the type of course where he can mask his putting. He's an elite around the green player. The irons have been a little fluky, but listen, you can't look at strokes gained for the players because you have to understand that there's water involved. So it's like, oh my God, he lost 9 strokes on the approach. Well, he put it in the water on 17 4 times. That's going to do that. So you got to keep that in mind. He was fine at the Honda. He did not get through, but it was pretty generic. I think this is a good course for him. In the past, we've seen he came in 7th in 2019. I'm there on Benny this week. One more guy in the upper 7s, and then we'll start working down. Then we'll get to the deep dive. Brandon Grace, this is someone he found some form lately. He's 7,800. He's starting to get some ownership. Where are you at on him this week?
Weren't we just saying that South Africans are random and that's kind of a difficult thing? Okay. So Brandon Grace is a guy that I like to play on very difficult golf courses. It seems like he plays difficult golf courses well. I think he had a streak back in like 2018 or 19 where he had made a lot of cuts in majors and kind of competed in just about every single one for a little bit of a streak there. I do like Brandon Grace. Hits a very, very low ball flight. I believe from seeing some data in terms of shot patterns, he has one of the lowest ball flights on tour. That bodes well on a golf course where you can get it out there, get it running, and get it underneath the wind. So Brandon Grace definitely signing up. I'm overexposed to him this week.
It's interesting. Yeah, he has that narrative, and I'm not saying it's false. He had a string of U.S. Opens where he really hung in. People talk a lot about the low ball flight. Maybe it masks in the wind. I don't mind it. The problem is more an opportunity cost. I like Varner, Moore, Burns, and Wise, and they're all $100 or $200 right above him. They all are going to take priority. If I have shares left, sure, no problem, but I don't know if I will per se.
So what is it about Harold Varner? Because we haven't talked about him, who's gaining, I think, the most ownership out of everybody up there. What is it that makes you really buying in on him this week?
So yeah, I will say, my answer, I thought if you just asked me that blindly, would be that no one's really looking to him, and I still believe that there's upside. That is not the case. Mm-hmm. He is getting some ownership, but I think it's just kind of a product of he still has some upside in my mind, and I look at what he did at Honda. He was plus 7 tee to green. He gained across the board. He's made 4 straight cuts. He outscores his placement, which I always like. He's someone that if I can get to the weekend, I feel very confident that he can put up some birdies. He's a showdown type player. He's played this course several times. He's played it 4 straight years, made 3 cuts, has a top 10. It just feels fine. And he's competing against Burns, Wise, and Ryan Moore. But ownership wise, you're absolutely right. When I originally thought about this, I was thinking Ryan Moore would be mega chalk and Varner would be a direct pivot. And that is not the case. And if I could have him straight up, I would take Ryan Moore.
Agreed. And that's kind of my issue with Harold Varner this week. I like the guy as a golfer. I think he profiles pretty darn well, but he hasn't been great off the tee of recent. Last 6 weeks, I think he's hitting 55% of fairways and not somebody who bombs it by any means. So that's kind of something that sticks out for me. I want him to be hitting the driver a little bit better. I just think that he's garnering too much ownership, compared to the rest of this range. You're getting Aaron Wise at a steep discount. You're getting, you're not getting Sam Burns at a discount. He's the one guy in that range that's going higher owned. But even somebody like Brandon Grace, who we talked about, Danny Willett, who is going to be a low flyer for me in that mid 7s. I'm going to have a little bit of. I don't know. I just feel like he's going a little bit over-owned, and I think there's some leverage to be had just by not going there and going other places in that range.
No, very fair. And truth be told, what I originally planned to do with Varner may not make a huge impact because I'm not going to up my exposure just because of the field. So like, I'm going to play what I'm going to play. It might not be enough and he could be a wash. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. All right. We're going to the lower sevens here. I will get to Party Marty. Don't worry. You've mentioned this guy before. What do you think of Doug Ghim, who clearly has some talent and he's starting to get it together on tour here?
Pedigree. You cannot possibly duplicate pedigree. A lot of the best players like Scotty Scheffler. I mean, Jordan Spieth is the one that is probably so I'm saying this, but I fully know that I have a bias against Jordan Spieth in a lot of different ways. So there's that. But Doug Ghim just is kind of like ready to pop at any moment. I like his ability to compete in any of these fields. Another guy who just basically had a phenomenal week at the Players masked by a bad fourth round. And I like to buy in on those guys. It's so strange to me that you love seeing somebody go off in a final round to like move themselves up, because I always feel like that makes their position look so much better to the public and generally pops their projection the next week. And so I would much rather buy in on a Charlie Hoffman now, who had a poor final round, where if he makes birdie on 18, that becomes a T10 or a top 5 or whatever it would have been. And it basically hides all the other good things that he did for 71 holes.
Yeah, I think for that, what's important for me is that someone's moving up towards the back of the board. Like vaulting yourself into contention is not the best thing, but I feel like if someone moves up from 70th to 32nd, no one really notices. But they leave a good taste in their mouth, going into that next week. God, there's some names
Doug
here.
Ghim, he's also like, if he were to get the putter going at any point in time, he's going to start winning. Like, it's not even competing. It's called winning. And it's hard to get that kind of win equity at that range with a guy who just stripes it the way he does.
So one of the things that I strongly believe in with PGA DFS is I got to find like a term to just coin this so I don't have to ramble. But when you have these guys like Doug Ghim, his volatility in terms of price, flash forward a calendar year, is massive. There's a chance that Doug Ghim's amazing. And at Valero next year, he's 11,000. You can't say that again about Lucas Glover or Patton Kazai. Those guys are who they are relative plus or minus.
Let's call it the rubber band, where you're pulling it back and you're pulling it back and you're pulling back, and then it just gets let go at some point and it goes much faster than what it was pulled back.
There you go. Look at that. You've done it.
That's what I'm here for. So
all right.
He's a rubber band guy. We'll call him that.
Rubber band play. Yeah, that's So one of the more confusing names in the field for me, this is a guy I struggle with because I certainly like my Euros, is Bern Wiesberger, who we've seen him the last couple of weeks. He hasn't done much. I do like his skill set at times. He's a little loose off the tee, though. Any interest there, or are you just allocating those shares elsewhere?
Yeah, I can't do it on a big number golf course. I just can't, because when you're this bad with a driver, you're going to spray one or two, and you got to get really, really lucky to have a situation arise where you don't make a big number in those situations. I think you're looking at a situation where if he can hold it together for 36 holes and make the cut, he's still not going to hold it together for the next 36 and really get you to a place where you need him.
7,100. My favorite target, Harry Higgs, who was fantastic at Honda. Irons are there. I like him more than, chat mentioned Martin Laird. He's lost so many with the irons. I'm not there. Who do you got in the low sevens for us?
Oh, I love Martin Laird. I think he's one of the guys that I am going to. Atrocious putting. That's really kind of what we're looking at. And I don't know. I think his win last year was a little bit fluky, and I wish I was more on him that week, because I just always felt like he's somebody who has the upside to win any given moment and can flash that high upside ball striking. He has that kind of pedigree. And again, another win player, Scottish dude. I feel like this is a good spot to maybe get low on him. And I don't know. I like to target some of these guys who can actually play well and get top 10s, top 20s. I'm not looking for like a T40 from this range. Like, that lineup's dead anyway. So I might as well target somebody who I think can win the golf tournament. Martin Laird is somebody that I would have interest actually on a betting card, and I'm probably going to add him to it.
Ooh, that you should have saved that for the hot take at
I'm
the end of the
saving it.
show.
Yeah, well, I just came up with it now. I'm like talking it into existence.
wish you the best of luck with. I mean, listen,
you.
I play Russell Knox all the time, so that I know how it works. Maybe Scotland's got some momentum. So I will say, I bet World Cup soccer today, and Scotland absolutely demolished the Faroe Islands. It was sad to see. Anyway,
Faroe Islands.
Yeah, don't hate on the Faroe Islands. Morton
Oh.
Laird, his irons, he's lost in 8 straight events. It's been minor losses lately, and I will give him that. He lost 5 strokes putting at the Players, so that's a wash. He absolutely demolishes this course. If you're going to him, you're definitely citing that course history. He consistently gets it done at Valero, regardless of his form. I think that's what you're pointing to.
Yes.
And I have to respect that aspect of it. All right, 2 guys at the 7s. Then we're going dumpster diving. Cam Champ and Luke List. Luke List had vertigo. I don't know what that means for him this week. And Cam Champ can't make a cut to save his life.
Yeah, Cam Champ. I am aware because I play a ton of Cam Champ every single week and it never goes well. So I think I'm going to have to do it again. He's probably my most tweeted about golfer in my career. I can't deal with him in a lot of ways. Has winning upside, probably the guy that people stop and watch the most on the range, just blast the golf ball. I remember hearing about him years ago being the guy who was going to lead the tour in every driving statistic, but he could actually putt. Hasn't always proved to fruition. And I guess you kind of have to hit it on the map too. So I kind of still want to take some shots there, but man, have I really kind of grown sour on him. Has no form whatsoever coming into this event. The only things you can really cite is that, Masters Week got him excited last year. He put up a top 20. So maybe we can buy into some narrative where he's excited to get there next week and starts putting a game together.
All right, here we go. We're moving to the 6s here. Really open the floor. I'm just going to give a couple of mine. Will Gordon and Jim Furyk are both at 68, and I get that. Where are you at on them? And then is there anyone else there that catches your eye?
Yeah, Jim Furyk, I always have a little smattering of because we know that the upside can always exist there. This isn't the kind of golf course that we talk about 3-shot golf courses. He should fit the profile of them for the par 5s and taking advantage of some of these spots. But I don't know. You were onto something when you were talking about Steve Stricker the one week as opposed to going to him. And I ate the Jim Furyk chalk and was on the wrong side of it. So I think Jim Furyk I'll have a little bit of, but not somebody that I'm really like going overboard for. Patrick Rogers, 6,800. God, this guy, I mean, talk about another 4th round where I thought he was going to kind of like put it together, just seemed like up and down. I kept seeing my DraftKings update and it was always like bipolar based on how Patrick Rogers was playing last week. And that was a bad place to be in your life. So maybe it's nice to have a little bit better field where I don't have to go there as much as what I did that week before. What do you feel about him? And then also put Brandon Haggy in that grouping too. Somebody that I feel like I go overexposed to, but considering he got a 2nd at the Honda, maybe that was just kind of a flash in the pan.
So I think all these guys fit the same formula as Cam Champ. They are able to gain strokes off the tee. I mean, Haggy is like Champ with the bombing. Patrick Rogers gains off the tee, but they also gain strokes putting occasionally, and that's a weird combo. You're not going to see them crush like Taylor Gooch where he gains like 10 strokes with the irons. That's not their game. I do think that's an interesting combo. Patrick Rogers has had success, particularly at John Deere a couple times doing that, and that I see a little. Will Gordon also bombs it off the tee. I think you could put him in that bucket. Roger Sloane is someone that I do think is quietly playing good golf. 3 straight top 25s, including Honda. Good with the ball striking right now. Not going to garner ownership. I think that Roger Sloane is in play.
Wow. I like it. I actually really do like it. And going through it, I mean, strokes game total, just nearly a stroke there. Decent enough putter, basically a break-even putter. If that were to spike, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, chat brings up a good point. Now, if Sloane, like everything, if he amasses ownership, of course, that's not going to be great. I just don't know if I see that happening in a significant way. It's still Roger Sloane. No offense to him. I'm rooting for him, but I don't know about that. Stallings
I'm rooting
would be
for
my
you too.
Yeah, Stallings would be my other guy there. Cameron Percy was asked about in chat. I don't hate that, but I ultimately don't think I'm going to get there. The irons are good. The putting is bad.
Yeah, I hadn't even like remotely thought about him. Again, a lot of these guys sub 7 outside of like even Cabrera Bello, who's been so bad and kind of has no form whatsoever. Graham McDowell was interesting last week on a golf course that he had great course history on. Not probably going to go there in any meaningful way again this week. This whole range is just kind of a wash. How far has Brandt Snedeker fallen off the earth is kind of the other part where it's just so sad to see him in a mediocre field event, 6,600. Can't even go there this week.
No, you can't. So we got about 5 minutes left here. We're going to whiz through, kind of wrap this up here. We'll go to one and done very quickly. Just a simple, where would you go? Spieth is the obvious one. I think someone like, if you need to play catch up, someone like Ryan Moore in that type of range would be where I'd go. Where would you go?
Yeah, Ryan Moore is kind of, I'm shocked, like flat out shocked at his ownership right now, where it's at. And I want way more than that. So that'll be a spot that I'm kind of going to as well.
Looking at the betting side of it, me and Josh have done our PGA Contenders video. You can absolutely check that out. Is there anyone you've mentioned, Martin Laird? Is that someone you think, of course you're going to get massive odds? I will pull him up on Odd Shopper right now, 100-1 out there. Do you think that's worth a splash?
No, but I might go top 10. Okay. I just looked it up. Plus 1,000. Just give me 10-1 on a top 10 out of him there. I think that feels pretty good. If you were to win, I wouldn't kick myself when I'm getting 10-1 on it. So I'm going to add that to the betting card I did. My two guys that I kind of singled out this week, Abraham Answer. Again, it's a backyard match for him. Plus 2,200 right now on Odd Shopper. You can shop your odds and make sure that you're taking advantage of that, because that's really the most important part of betting golf for me, is making sure that I'm getting the right numbers on guys. I locked in my Justin Thomas for the Masters before he played at Sawgrass. I recommend doing things like that too, because you get a much better number on it. But plus 2,200 for Abraham Answer on Odd Shopper, and then Keegan Bradley plus 5,000. I think that he just kind of like profiles as a guy that I think I'm either going to burn and crash this week with, or I could be looking at GPP winning upside by just being overexposed to him.
Answer is on my card. I already bet him. Keegan is kind of interesting. Chad, Gim at 100. That is kind of interesting. I'll be honest. I didn't really consider that. I'll have to take a look. If I can find 100, I may add that. You've mentioned certainly one of the things you can do is mitigate that risk and open it up to a top 10, even a top 20. If you have a real bomb, you could wheel it if you wanted to. And then if you ever hit it, I do that occasionally. Not the worst. All right. We've got a couple minutes left. Chat. You know what time it is. The best part of the show. I'm calling it a clean slate. You know what? I got a new co-host here. I'm now 0-0. We're going to Men in Black some of my egregious takes, and we are going back to the hot takes. If you could hit that like button before we get into it, sir, I'm going to be a nice guy. It's like you've won the coin toss. You can defer to the second half, or you can go first.
Oh, I'm deferring for sure. I want to see the way that the game is played and beat you at it.
All right, here we go. I'm not going to get crazy because the Masters is next week, but there is a guy in this field I specifically did not mention during the Make the Cut segment because I wanted to bring him up here. And he's a Texas guy. He's not really getting a ton of buzz. He's not going to be unowned either. And I think this guy has a real chance to contend. You're getting 14-1 on him for a top 5, and it's Johnny Vegas, who was coming in. He was 18th last week at Punta Cana, 30th at Honda, made the cut at the Players, and he was runner-up in Puerto Rico. He's playing better golf. He doesn't mind the wind. He's a Texas guy, bomber. I think that this guy in the mid-range is firmly in play. His course history is horrendous, but I don't really care about that, to be honest. He could flip that. I'm going to go with Johnny Vegas as a guy to get in the mix this week.
Oh, man. I feel bad because my guy that I've now singled out is so much worse. This kind of goes with your Twitter trend of like guys that I'm playing that you shouldn't. Okay. His name's JB Holmes. He's at 6,500 over on DraftKings. I have a little bit too much, but if you're looking 2 tournaments ago, Honda, which I think profiles as a much more difficult golf course, a golf course that you wouldn't think would fit a guy like JB Holmes whatsoever, basically shot himself out of it in that same exact way. We talk about round 4s. That's kind of been the trend of my show today. 69, 67, 67, 79, hit it all over the map that final round there at the Honda. Let the pressure get to him a little bit. I think it affected him at the Punta Cana. You just saw bad ball striking in general from him there. I think he rebounds. A little bit of a bomber here. Not somebody you would necessarily profile as like, oh, I want to be way overexposed to him, but give me a top 10 each way here. And then also, I will be over the field for sure.
Okay, we got JB Holmes 18-1 on the top 10. So
I'm
you're
in.
getting massive. Now the question is, if he ever won, would the tournament finish before Augusta? Because he plays so slow, he may not have enough time to get there. But I like it. That's how you do it, by the way. Don't be afraid. You go right in it. We'll see if we can put one on the board, chat. As always, this has been a blast. You're going to see this combo a lot in the near future, so I hope you like it. We're having a blast doing it. Again, you got any questions, hit up Eric on Twitter, myself on Twitter, or find us in Slack. And don't go anywhere. Chris Spags, Greg Ehrenberg, they're going to be talking late night NBA, everything you need to know. We will see you guys soon. Next week is Augusta, so get ready. We'll be here. Hope you guys will. Good luck, and we'll see you then.